Hi everybody, I'm Skeeves Pete, and today we're taking a look at the HiKey960 single board computer from LeMaker. This is a brand new high-end single board computer that's definitely in competition with the Raspberry Pi. Let's take a look. So this came to me as two boxes. The first box is just the power supply. Outputs 12 volt 2 amps. That's not your typical Raspberry Pi voltage. This is the But let's get on to the main event, the HiKey960. So just taking a look at the back, there's actually two CPUs on this. There's the 4 Cortex A73 and the 4 Cortex A53, which is the big little CPU architecture. It combines two different architectures into one chip. This is going to be a powerful little puppy. It's got 3 gigabytes of DDR4 DRAM. It's got 32 gigabytes of flash storage built in. It's also got a PCIe, 2 USB 3s. Yeah, USB 3s on a single board computer. And this is trying to say that it's got wireless that operates at 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. I'm not sure what this QR code is. Probably just a link to the LeMaker website. But let's get inside. All right, inside we have the HiKey960 instruction manual. We've got this heatsink for the CPU, which I'm going to leave off to the side for now. This is the HiKey960, and it's currently retailing for around $240. All nice and close. So this is your power in. These are your 40-pin LS connectors. Around here is your micro SD card slot, followed by your HDMI, USB-C OTG, USB 3 single port, USB 3 single port, 2 antennas, and then going on there is your Wi-Fi Bluetooth chip. Here is your DDR4 3 gigabytes of RAM over top of the system on a chip. And then here you have the 32 gigabyte flash memory. Also the 60-pin HS connector. I'm just going to flip it over to the other side here and just take a quick look. All right, on the other side we have the PCIe Gen 2 there. This is an M.2 key M. We also have the USB 3 hub, which is right there. It's got its own chip. And then here we have a bunch of selector pins. Let's just turn this around and we'll take a look at those. So on the back here, you can see that there's JTAG solder points if that's your thing. But also here, I wanted to point out these switches. So you see it says auto power. So auto power means that it'll automatically power on when you plug it in. Boot mode, that's to let you choose the boot mode. That's number 2. And then number 3 is external boot. So you can either boot from the 32 gigabytes on board, or you could use the micro SD card. Google Android open source project will support the HiKey960, or you could go with a typical Linux support. USB Type-C in this case is USB 2, and it uses the ARM Mali G71 MP8 GPU. As I said before, it's got 12 volt power onto the board. And the USB-C and the USB 3s cannot be used at the same time. It's interesting. The USB-C is OTG, so it's to plug it into something so you can program the 32 gigabytes of flash. I'm going to do that in an upcoming video. That's not for today. Today I just wanted a quick look around to see exactly what's in there. Here's a question and answer for you. Why would you choose this? Why would you choose this over Raspberry Pi 3? Okay. This has a lot more power with the octa-core chip and the 3 gigabytes of RAM. Along with the USB 3, there's a lot more grunt that you can get here. Yes, the grunt comes at an extra price. This one is clocking in at $240 plus, while the Raspberry Pi you can pick up for $35 or under. But this has a couple of specific utilities that you'll get that you can't really do with the Raspberry Pi. To give you some of the examples of that, this, if you're going to be developing for Android, say you want to develop something like a game or you want to develop a new app, this might be the type of board that you want to choose for that. That's as opposed to a Raspberry Pi. Or say you want to build something that takes more power, more CPU, like a high-end NAS that uses USB 3 hard drives. This, again, will utilize the USB 3 hard drives, whereas something like the Raspberry Pi with its USB 2 only will be limited. Perhaps you're looking for something with a bit more grunt in terms of the 1080p display, something that can do 3D graphics better than the Raspberry Pi can. Again, these are all use cases. They're not every use case, but it gives you an idea of the sorts of things that this can do that the Raspberry Pi can't. Is this the right type of board if you're just thinking about doing a random project? Maybe you want to do something like one of the light turning on, maybe you want to do something like a relay project, or maybe you want to do something like a fan or a weather station. I wouldn't suggest that you go with this type of computer for that. This, again, is decidedly built for the high end. Again, this runs Android OS, and it also runs Linux, so you'll be able to get a bit of grunt out of it. But what this is more like is it's more like the ARM version of the Intel NUCs. So if you're thinking about getting one of those NUCs and you're thinking about getting an Intel Atom, with Pine Trail or something, you might consider going for one of these instead. Outside of that, for the type of audience that's after a project computer, I would say at this sort of price point, unless you're very rich or for some reason happen to come across it, I would probably steer clear of it. But again, this will give you a lot of overhead. So if you do want to make any of those projects, you certainly will be able to in the future. All right, well, thank you very much. That's been the HiKey960 unboxing and walk around. Next time I look at this computer, I'll be building a project with it. This CPU heatsink I won't be putting on today, but that's right where it would fit right there. That's it. If you have any comments or questions, post them in the comment section below. If you found this video particularly useful, don't forget to support this channel. You can do so either by buying me a cup of coffee or by supporting this channel on Patreon. Don't forget to press like, don't forget to press subscribe, and we'll see you guys again soon as I build a project with the HiKey960.